All right, sorry about the delay there. Got a little bit of a later start than I wanted to. The Went well. Just took a look at did a short review. Be sure to check it out. This is a new live discussion I do after the short video, but definitely check out the short review on the Lagavulin 10. It's a travel retail exclusive. 43% colored, chill filtered, most likely. Um, it's got the ex bourbon, the refill and the freshly charred, rejuvenated cask, which always makes me kind of chuckle that it's freshly charred, but it's rejuvenated. Um, but yeah, it the nose was good, but other than that, man, I was like, wow. Hey, Dram, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Lost Cause, good to see you as well. How you doing, Lost Cause and Dram? How's California? Hopefully you're out of work. What you drinking, if anything, and same to use Lost Cause. Have you guys had this one yet, and what did you think of it? It's the Lagavulin 10. Not impressed, as you could tell from the review if you saw it. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. And that was being very generous. Springbank Green 12. Now that's a good whiskey. Good choice there. This was weird because I thought when I did the 9 that was going to be a gamble, and it just let me get something ready here for later. 1 second. Sorry about that. Um, I thought it was going to be a gamble just going for the 9 or going for the 11. And even the 8 when it first came out I guess it's been a few years. But when they came out, the 8, the 11, and I'm sorry, the 8, the 11, the 8, the 9, and then the 11, in that order, they all were pretty good. And then when they did the 10, I thought, well, sure enough, especially if they're going to charge you, 50 pounds for it, which is about $62, you would think that it would be at least on par with the 8, which is a good, just basic peated dram. Those extra 10 years, I don't think did it justice, and I think hopefully they didn't make too much of the 8 and not sell it, and that's what this 10 is. I'm hoping to God that's not what happened. I don't think so, because the make is completely different with the whole refill and charred rejuvenated cast thing. So, oh man, the nose is. I'm gonna let that. I'm gonna nose that while I probably sip something else. That's how crazy it was. Yeah, I have to say. Let me go back and catch up. Wow, Trooper Henry, good to see you, man. Good evening from 100 miles offshore again. Nice. Well, I'm glad you're working. It's hard enough to get to be able to work. What you drinking there, Trooper? I'm curious. And if you had anyone had the Lagavulin 10, let me know in the comments what you thought. This is not the Offerman edition, no, and I'll come back down to you in a second. Um, Laga is okay. Bit my thing. Okay, was that I have an accent to it? The bit my thing. Mostly done with work, no dram yet. Well, you better get on the ball. I hope you pick a better Lagavulin than I did. Not. What up, Mr. Telex? Hey, Daniel, good to see you. Did you say 2.5 for a Lagavulin? Yeah, unfortunately, this is the lowest that I can find. I love the 8. The 8 I would probably give like a 3.5. The 11 I liked a little more. That one I'd probably give like a 3.75. The 12 is glorious. That's like a 4.5 star whiskey. Easy. I love the 12 cast strength. 16 is a solid whiskey. That's at least a 4.25. I can never go wrong. It's 16 years, for God's sakes. Lagavulin 16, it tastes like no other. It's a great one. Plus the Distillers Edition with that PX sherry on the end for an extra couple of years. That is one of my favorite whiskeys. In the Fishkill 18, that is like that's a 5-star. 4.75 minimum, maybe even 5-star whiskey, I'd say. This one is sadly a 2.5. I just didn't get anything out of other than the nose. That's the problem with that. Hey, Santa Cruz, good to see you, man. Here from Malt Muser's Happy Hour. What's up, Telex? Hey, good to see you, Nestor. Looks like you really liked the 9 and the Distillers Edition, but really surprised at the 10 not being so good. I was too. I was kind of sad. I mean, because not only is it's a letdown, it's $60. You kind of threw out the window. But it is a bit of a challenge when you're going through some of these things. This is not the Offerman there, Silver Lope. Good to see you. This is the 10 travel retail exclusive. It's a 10-year. Richie Z, good to see you. Wow. Don Holland. I'm looking out for Malt. I'm going to let him pop in here when I see him do the join. Or did I already? I might not have sent him the invite yet. Let me go ahead and get that done, so I know he's already got it. So I might have missed him in the chat box there. I haven't seen him pop in yet. Looks like Don Holland, good to see you. The 12, yeah, cast strength is amazing. 16 and yeah, they're awesome. I love most of everything I've ever touched from Lagavulin. I can't say anything bad. I just sent you the link there, Malt. Sorry about the delay there. Would love to try the Lagavulin 12 cast strength. That must be a tough one to get down in Louisiana, I take it there, Trooper. That's sad if that's the case. Yeah, and Don says the 12 is his favorite as well. Has anybody had their older stuff by chance? Like they had a 17. It wasn't like, I think, hugely widely available. Let me see something real fast. Let me take a quick look-see here. If I can get it to load. Lagavulin 17, I think it was called. Didn't they have a 17? Or did they just go straight up to 21? 21 is the one I'm thinking of. The 21 is supposedly an excellent bottle at 52% ABV. First fill ex-sherry European oak. I mean, geez. That I would love to try. The 25 is the one that you see all the time for like crazy money. Like we're talking like a couple, I think it's like $1,700, at least $1,000, and it's 50.9, great ABV, ex-sherry as well, 25 years, man. Has anybody ever had that? I bet you Dram has. Dram has a really solid collection. If Stephen Connor comes by, I'm pretty sure he probably had it too, maybe. There's Malt. Let me get him in here. Sorry about that. Hey, man, let's get you in the...
How you doing?
Pretty good. Can you hear me okay?
Audio's sounding good, brother. How are you?
You as well. And a lot better that it's Scotchy Tuesday.
Yeah, man. Another
Thirsty
Tuesday, man.
I think they found a word that works well with Tuesday. There's Thirsty Thursday.
Tuesday tipple.
Yeah, Tuesday tipple.
Yeah. Nice to see you, man. Glad to be back for another week of the show, man. This is fun.
Yeah, you too, man. Did you? I know you're busy. Malt does like a little happy hour get together before I do the discussion with them. I usually try to do a short review just for the kids that like the short ones. But did you get a chance to ever see it or try this one?
And so, if I'm not mistaken, you're on the Lagavulin 10 tonight, right?
Yeah.
So, Richie Z, hey man, how you doing? A long time no see. I was just on happy hour with Richie, so yeah, good to see you, buddy. So the Lagavulin 10, it's a funny story. So I was in Ireland and in England just when, probably about 2 or 3 weeks after I saw the announcement that the Lagavulin 10 had been the new travel exclusive release. So I, of course, was like feverishly looking for it. I didn't see it in the Heathrow airport and I didn't see it in the Dublin airport. So unfortunately, I've not got to get a chance to try it. But, I figured it would be, a solid pour. I don't know what they were charging for it or anything like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, man, did not get the opportunity to get a try of it yet. But I do have a Lagavulin that I'll sip on with you a little bit tonight. I have the... This is the Lagavulin 12 2018 bottle. So
yeah, I told Trooper. Trooper just said that he wishes he could get that one. And this is
my first bottle of it, but yeah, would love to hear. Would love to hear what your initial thoughts are on that 10.
Hold on, you haven't had that 12 yet before?
No, I have. I've opened it. This is the first.
I was gonna say,
yeah, it's the first bottle of a 12-year-old I've ever got.
It's so good. I wish this was the 12. Put it that way.
Ooh, not a winner?
This is not a winner. This is not a winner, not even close. This is my least favorite Lagavulin I've ever had. And I've had the 8, the 11, the 12, the 16, the Distiller's Edition, the official 18, and the 9 Game of Thrones bottle.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
this one
disappointing. What's the ABV on that?
only 43%. That's the first kind of iffy,
Mm.
At least it's not 40, but the 43 made me a little nervous. But the nose is great from the get-go. I mean, you get that vegetal, nice cereal peat that you always get.
Yeah.
You get to the palate, and it's a complete mineral metal like bitter clash with the initial smoke, and you get some initial, lemon and
Mm.
nothing other than like the toffee caramel stuff. But this mineral acidity was just too astringent for me. And then the finish was non-existent almost. You get a little subtle oil.
I wonder if they used tired cask for that, because I mean, what initially got me excited about that was that they put a fucking age statement on it.
Exactly.
I was like, a 10-year? Like, first of all, why is this not available everywhere? And then, yeah, I wondered, the fact that it was a travel exclusive. The travel exclusives are all hit and miss. Maybe we can talk more about travel exclusives later tonight as we get into the show. But yeah, I was real excited about that because my again, like I said, I was running through the damn airport in Dublin, feverishly looking for it. I ended up coming home with a couple different ones, but they didn't have it out quite yet. So that's disappointing.
Yeah, this is a ex-bourbon refilled and freshly charred, rejuvenated casks. So when I hear ex-bourbon and refilled, so I know it's not first fill, and I hear rejuvenated, even though it's freshly charred, I'm like, something's not quite right here.
Interesting. They say that on the label, or did you find that on the internet?
No, I was doing a little research outside. Let me see, just to see if they give any more, actual information on the specificity on this. But I know it's legit because it's so, what's the word for it? Descriptive of what they use. No, they're not gonna. They definitely no. I don't see it anywhere on the box or the bottle or anything. But definitely is an issue that you can definitely find out about online, like you said.
Interesting, man. Yeah, that's a little bummer. I thought, I don't know what your thoughts are on the Lagavulin 8, which I think is 48% or something, which I quite enjoyed. But yeah, the 10 I just assumed. But like, again, I thought it was weird, right? When you think about all these Isla single malts, you have the classic 10-year-olds, you have the Lafroig and the Ardbeg, and then now recently, like the Port Charlotte 10. These are kind of just standard bearers of the 10-year-olds off Isla, and I thought it's weird that Lagavulin would release a 10-year-old, but like make it travel exclusive only, as if like, why wouldn't you want to make this as easy to get? Maybe they didn't have a lot. I wasn't quite sure, but.
Well,
yeah.
to answer your question, I thought about it too, and I even talked to my wife about it because I was like, why in the world? That's the same exact question, and she had a good point. I think it's a way for them to, and the reason I think they do slap the age statements on it in Lagavulin and Highland Park have been getting better about that is because of people like you and me and all the reviewers have been clamoring about age statements. The issue though is I think they still use the travel retail market to get out some of their more tired casks and things that are they might be low on or might not be getting a good enough return on, and they figure, well, the guys that are shopping duty free, in the airport aren't whiskey people per se.
Right.
They're just getting gifts for people,
And this might be a good topic for us to talk a little bit about as we get into the show tonight, because that's definitely something that I've experienced in a way, and I'll tell you about a couple I did. But before we do that, I'd love to kick off our chat with, have you got yourself anything new this week? I know we've been kind of kicking off that way for the last few weeks, so I'd love to hear.
Oh man, I wish. I'm trying to think that Mortlock Six Kingdoms. I told you that had that come in recently, and that did come in. I am looking forward to cracking that open. It's not open right now. Let me do.
That's the Game of Thrones, right? the
And
last
that
one.
is the last one I needed, yeah. And they have an 18 and a 20-year-old. It's just that the prices on those are getting a little steep, comparatively to this guy. Even at what is it, 16, 15 years old, it's like 46% ABV. It's got a lot of positives going for it. I heard it reviews halfway decent. So, um,
Mm.
other than that, though, I've been hanging, just waiting with the Valfather from Highland Park was one I got recently. I'll be doing a review on that maybe next if you feel like doing a Highland Park sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Would love
And,
to.
and that Mortlock, the either one would be great for me as far as that. I haven't had a chance to really get a whole lot of anything else recently. How about you?
Yeah, a couple things. For the bourbon heads, I just got the latest Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. This is batch A120. Normally, I get these a little earlier in the year. Unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, I've not exactly been running out to be in public as much as normal. So, got my hands on that. It's great, as it usually is. I got this Tamdu 10. This is something I've never had before, so I'm excited to
Oh,
dive into the Tamdu 10. I've had the 15 before, and which I uncorked and recorded a review of over the weekend. And it'll post on Friday when my whiskey reviews post on my channel. Is the Ardbeg Wee Beastie.
oh, nice, you bastard.
Yeah. So as you can see, I've put a healthy dent in this already.
Oh, wow. That's a good sign.
We're sipping a little bit of this on the pre-show happy hour that I did, and so yeah, got a couple of new things this week.
So, not to spoil your review, can you give it kind of like an emperor's thumbs up or an emperor's thumbs down on the Wee Beastie? Oh, oh no! Don't do that to me, dude. It's got to be a thumbs up. Come on.
Nah, man. I'm gonna be real with you. I won't share my final score, but I'll be real with you. The thing about it is, okay. First of all, mad kudos. They put a 5-year age statement on it. They didn't have to do that. They could have just went straight up NAS.
Right.
So I appreciate that. It's 47.4% and non-chill filtered. Appreciate all that. What I'll tell you is, though, like, it's solid for what it is, but as an Ardbeg fan that I know you are, why would you buy this when you could spend $8 or $9 more max to get the 10?
Right.
I'll just leave it at that. This is a very spirity, peppery, short finish Ardbeg. I don't hate it. Like, I'm glad I grabbed a bottle. It's fun. This is all about fun in some way. It's not expensive, but like, this isn't going to blow your socks off. What I think it gives you is like that peppery, heavy peppery note you get off the Corey Vrecken. You get on this, but just not much else. It doesn't have the earthy road tar level of peat smoke, which I love about Ardbeg. It's more of like the peat smoke level on nose on this is more closer to like Mocker Bay or Kalila. That's all I'll say. So
that's cool.
It is what it is.
No, I think it's because they were looking for something to compete with the Select.
Yeah, totally.
Because the Ano is kind of something that I would consider like a Select, but the Ano is actually a pretty damn good whiskey compared to the Select.
Inexpensive. It's a $65 bottle. This is $45.
Oh, okay. So they were kind of competing both with maybe Select and like a Highland Park Magnus kind of thing.
Man. And like, to that point, I love Lafroig. But what I'll say is the thing about them is, like, unlike Lafroig, who put out the Select, which is NAS, chill filtered, 40%, filled with color. At least they're sticking true to their brand, non-chill.
That's what I like. Yeah.
Right on. It's clearly like, look, if you're not, if you're just getting into Ardbeg or into peated Scotch, is this one to like be the first heavy peated punch in the face Scotch you should get? Yes. Is this something that like folks like, you and I, for that matter, like, who are big fans of heavy peated Scotch are going to just like yearn for? No. It's just
right.
Give me the 10. That's all.
So without even asking you, I'm assuming that you probably like the Lagavulin 8 better than the 5 Wee Beastie, I'm sure, just for the few years.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm not surprised because it is a more, I think, a crafted peated whiskey, even though it's only 8 years comparatively. I could
Yeah.
see, you know.
So the thing, and like if comparing the two, Lagavulin needed something that was going to be I mean, what did they have in their core range? I mean, you either have
That's
the
the 16 in the Distiller's Edition. Yeah.
$80. Now it's like almost 100, which is ridiculous. Distiller's Edition, which is like 100, and then you had the 12, which now is like almost 150, which is crazy. They didn't have anything in that range.
That's true.
It made sense for me for them to have an 8-year-old that was like seriously, you know, a solid whiskey. It was good, right? This I bought because like it's cheap. I wanted to try it. It's all in good fun. I mean, I'm not an Ardbeg homer, but I like Ardbeg stuff. I think Ardbeg Ugadal and 10 are some of my favorite whiskeys.
Well, I'm definitely gonna get one.
Yeah, I didn't expect this to blow my mind. It's a 5-year-old Ardbeg. Why would it?
Right.
You know,
I was hoping that the peat bite would be a little more interesting, maybe to give it that more comparison with the Lagavulin 8, but that's the only thing that I would say would be a letdown, maybe a little bit.
It's very peppery in the way that the Corey Vrecken is, but outside that, I mean, it's just not amazing.
Right. I mean, no, I'm not shocked.
I did score it higher than the Lagavulin 10 that you just did, but maybe not that much higher. Let's just put that.
Well, if it's a good average whiskey, which would tell me that I would probably rate it like a 3 to 3.25. If I fancied the pepper a bit, I might give it a 3.25, but I probably would have gave it a flat 3 from what you're saying. I had to take a guess.
Yeah, well, my video will post Friday if folks want to check it out. I'm not going to be a shameless homer and try and plug my channel, but
no, I didn't want to bust your review either. That's why.
No, you're good. Look, real talk. I cracked this open when we were talking about it, or I was drinking this on happy hour tonight. So, you know, folks that tuned in got to hear my 2 cents on it anyway, so it's fine. I'm not in this for like clicks and subs. I'm in it for just talking whiskey with folks. So, you know.
I hear you.
So,
how are the people on the channel?
The TLDR is Ardbeg 10 is still the way to go. I'll just put it that way.
Have you said hi to anybody in the channel?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of folks there, man. Dram Dude's here, Richie, Andrew.
Welsh Toro. I haven't seen him in a while either.
Yeah, Welsh Toro. Nice to see you, man. I was chatting with a bunch of these folks. They came over for happy hour, so we were talking about Ardbeg and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, it was a fun chat. Sorry to hear about this though with the Lagavulin 10. I'm wondering actually, you know, Telex, since that is a travel retail exclusive, and you know, you alluded a little bit to like how you kind of have experienced some of your hit and misses with travel exclusives. I'd love to hear kind of like what your general experience has been with other travel exclusives.
It's funny with Lagavulin. This is, I think, one of their first that I can remember, and this might be why this is more of a miss than a hit. This is one of their first travel retail exclusives that I can think of. Certain brands like Lefroy and Bunnahabhain, for example, they'll have, you know, lots of travel retail exclusives available and have for many years. Like with Lefroy, you're probably familiar with the PX and the QA cask, the Anclemore, and the 4 Oak, and the 1815, I think, or 1819. It's one of the two. It's a green bottle with a year on it, and they have one more. I think I'm forgetting, but usually they're pretty solid. Same with Highland Park. It's got a lot of travel retail exclusives. With the Lefroy, the 4 Oak, and the 18, I think it's 19, where I've heard the 4 Oak I know is disappointing because I had it, but the 1819 I heard was a downer. But the PX, the Anclemore, and the QA are pretty damn good. And same thing with the Highland Parks are usually decent. I never had one that blew me away. Hopefully some of these newer ones that have age statements on them will be better. Have you had like the Spirit of the Wolf or any of those newer ones that they have? Okay.
I haven't. My experience with travel retail exclusive releases has been somewhat limited. I've had the Lefroy 4 Oak, which I thought was awful. Really bad. I've had the Bunnahabhain Krokvana, which I thought was pretty good.
I like that one, yeah.
Yeah. I've had the Talisker Darkstorm, which I thought was decent.
I like that one a lot, actually. I like the smokiness of it.
I have less than I don't hate Talisker, but I don't love Talisker. So the Darkstorm was okay. I also have the Glenmorangie Tane.
Oh yeah,
which I think is pretty solid. I've had the Lagavulin or the Lafroig PX cask, which I think is pretty solid, but it's too expensive for what you get, in my opinion. I still think that if
even for a 1 liter bottle.
So I actually drank it at a bar in London. I had a couple.
Oh, okay.
It was good. I liked it. I mean, it's just that it's $100 bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't quite pull the trigger on that, but
it's the 1 liter that did it for me. I'm like, an extra,
Well, right. I mean, that was the thing. That's why I bought the 4 because I was like, oh shit. But when I was going through Dublin, they had that Lafroig 1815, and I immediately was like, oh shit, it's a Lafroig I haven't had. But it was like it was £100, or it was 100 euros. So I was like, nah, man.
Thank God you didn't pull the trigger on
that. I wasn't going to do it. It just seems like, for the most part, with rare exception, the travel exclusive stuff doesn't quite hit. And unfortunately, even with the age statement on it for this Lagavulin 10, it sounds like a real disappointment. That's a bummer.
Yeah, hopefully they'll learn from this one and think, okay, guys, we've got to do a travel retail that's going to really actually wow people, because if you do this and do another one like it, people are not even going to,
yeah,
whiskey people, or at least, are not going to go looking for it for a gift even, But
yeah, man, I just I don't know. I haven't had anything from the travel exclusive. Again, it's been a limited experience. I haven't had a lot of things. The only one that I thought was worth its weight was the Bunnahabhain Krokvana.
That is good. Also look for I know you're not if you were a red wine casker, if you like that, then the Erlina Glen is really good. That's the red bottle.
I do like red wine cask. I didn't like the Kilchoman was solid. I really like the Deanston red wine.
Oh, okay.
9-year Bordeaux.
Try the Bunnahabhain Erlina Glen. That's the red wine cask version. That's kind of like Krokvona. I think it's a travel retail as well, but you can order it. And the Anclodoc, it's not as good as the Krokvona, I don't think, but it's got some interesting things. If you like hazelnuts, it's really hazelnutty.
Sounds like a Buna.
The best Lafroig travel one is the Ancomore. That's a bottle you should definitely get. The Ancomore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
more than the PX.
It blows the PX out of the water. It's that good. Yeah.
No kidding. That's the blue ribbon on it, right?
Yeah, it's like a teal, like a greenish blue color. It kind of matches the Carriages 15 color, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Yeah.
It's got a lot of peanut brittle. If you like peanut brittle, it's got that kind of flavor to it. Yeah. It's really nice and smoky, rich. I think it's like a 48%. I can't see it from here, but I remember it being like top-notch travel retail that I can remember having. But
somebody was also mentioning on the happy hour chat, I don't know if they're here, but somebody said that the Johnny Walker Green Island edition is like a more heavily peated version of the 15. I don't know if it still has the age statement on it, but somebody was saying that was decent. But I guess there's a couple diamonds in the rough, but man, my experience so far has been like, yeah, 4 Oak was disappointing. Darkstorm was okay. The Glenmorangie Tane was solid. Nothing's been a wow. Nothing has been a wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I definitely wouldn't like. Some people, they'll travel just to buy certain bottles, which I think is crazy because you can order a lot of these online. I would definitely try to get a deal if you're going to, splurge and try to get a travel retail. I mean, usually they are priced pretty cheap, but at the same time, it's still money. And I would definitely do your homework and look at as many reviews as you can from as many different sources as you can to really, ascertain if it's really worth that. Even if it's $50, it's $50. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So I'm gonna get some of this Lagavulin in the glass, and we can put some lag. I'm disappointing though, man. I'm still surprised that a 10-year-old. Again, they have to be just using shitty casks.
Yeah, I'm gonna move over to this. this is one of my. I like the committee release is a lot better, but this one's actually not bad at all. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, the committee release grooves I really enjoyed too.
yeah, comparatively, it's a 4.25 versus this one. I'd probably get like a 3.75. It's definitely thin once you've had the. This is only 46 versus the 50. I think it's 51 point something. I can't remember, but definitely a lot higher on the cast strength.
Yeah, Welsh Toro just dropped in and said I usually buy the 1 liter Ardbeg 10, which is always on sale in airports. It blows everything away from me for the money. Yeah, I didn't even realize that they put their 10 in airports, but that's awesome. And Andrew Page said he got a Glen Scotia 16. It was really bad, which was a travel retail maybe. I haven't heard that one.
Oh, I was going to ask about that because I recently, this must be a new release because I'm very familiar with the Glen Scotia 15, and the 15 is a great, fantastic, well-priced whiskey. And recently I was doing some searches on Whiskey Exchange or one of those sites, and I saw this Glen Scotia 16. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I almost pulled the trigger just because I thought it was like a new version of the 15. So I almost ordered it, but I'm glad I didn't because now you're saying that it's probably a travel retail version, right?
Yeah, that's odd. It's funny because I've actually also seen that Glen Scotia 16, and I was like, why is there a 16? It seems travel retail or at least not core range, and the 15, which is just so damn good.
Let us know if you've had the Glen Scotia 16. Everyone loves the 15. Has anyone had the 16? And if you liked it or not, please let us know in the chat. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, this one is a little thinner than I wished, but when it comes to compare to this, it's like night and day difference. So that's why I went ahead and switched over to Little Grooves.
Wow. I mean, not even with the second Vam. You think you're going to make it through that Lagavulin 10? I can't believe it's that bad. That's incredible.
Well, I had 2 dreams of it already, but it's really thin drinking. It's 43%, and it's like a more of a thin to, I would say it's a thin mouth coat. It's not even a medium mouth coat, which was another thing that kind of didn't really do a whole lot for me.
Wow, what a bummer.
Yeah, but at least my demise is your gain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally right. I mean, what can you do?
I'm going to start calling this the Schadenfreude channel.
Telex the Schadenfreude Whiskey Tech.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Looks like the 18 is really good. And that's the bourbon cask. I have had a taste of that. Have you had a chance to have a taste of that before?
The Glen Scotia 18?
The Glen Scotia 18?
I haven't. I've had the double cask, which is okay. The Victoriana, which I really like.
Ooh, yeah.
The 15, which I really like. 15 was my whiskey of the year last year. I'll go to the mat for the Glen Scotia 15 any day of the week. I really like Glen Scotia is one of those distilleries that flies under the radar a bit, I think, and I'm really putting out some solid stuff. I know that they have a distillery, so I have a distillery 10-year-old distillery filled edition that I'm going to be getting my hands on relatively soon, which I'm excited about. I really like Scotia.
That's awesome. I haven't heard of that. That would be I know they do these special, like if you get a distillery only thing.
Yeah, they got a good amount of single casks, I think, and
I think the 18 is worth a taste. I wouldn't go like out of your way to go crazy to get it, but if you know of a way to get a sample at least, I think it's worth your time to try. I do like the 15 better than the 18 though, but I'm more of a sherry guy than a straightforward bourbon cask guy. But it is good. I mean, it definitely hangs with like the Springbank local barley scene. It can hang with like the full volume of Highland Park, that kind of stuff. It can hang. I can't remember the ABV on it. It might not, I have to look it up. I think it might be if it's not 48, it's at least 46, I would hope. But can't remember off the top of my head. Let me see.
I actually think that the Glen Scotia 15 was all bourbon. I mean, I know what you mean, that it has kind of a fruity, like a fruit note to it, a dried fruit note, but I might be wrong, but I almost think that it might have been all bourbon. I don't know if is the 18 in all bourbon, the Glen Scotia 18? I've noticed that it's a good price. I mean, for an 18.
Oh, wow, you're right. It is just ex-bourbon cask. I thought it had some sherry stuff in there because it does taste like a sherry dram.
Yeah.
The 15 did it to me at least, but you're right. It's and the 18 supposedly has oak and ex oloroso sherry in it, but I didn't get any sherry notes from the 18. That's really weird. Isn't that blow your mind? It's like the 15 to me tastes like it has sherry in it, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
The 18 tastes like a straightforward, bourbony oak cask, but it's ex oloroso sherry. It's 46%, by the way, but I definitely would take a look at it then. It might be. Maybe I just had an off day when I tried it, because I only had it like once.
It happens. Meanwhile, I'm going to get into a little bit of this. I'd be curious, when you were talking, come back to the Lagavulin thing. Outside of the Fisial, how would you rank your, the kind of more core range stuff, the 12, 16, 8, Distillers Edition, 10, maybe even?
Well, outside the Fishil and the Jazz Festival stuff and the specialty stuff, my favorite, man,
11 Offerman, that one's in there too. I guess it's core range.
Yeah, I would say the core to me is like the 8, the 9, the 11, the 12, the 16, and the Distillers Edition. Those were kind of like this. I wouldn't even consider part of it, but I'd say my favorite is a tie between the 12 and the Distillers Edition. I think the 12 is probably my favorite because I do like that boost of ABV.
Yeah.
As far as the solid second, I think is the Distillers Edition. Third would be the 16. Fourth would be the Offerman, and fifth would be the 8-year. That's how I would roll.
Yeah, and you said there's a 9. The 9-year, was that the Game of Thrones?
Oh, Game of Thrones bottle is really good. Yeah.
I thought that was good. I haven't had all the Game of Thrones stuff. I did a little sampling thing. I was at a bar once in Washington, D.C., where they had a thing where they were pouring, like, you could order 5 or 4 different samples of 4 of them off a list for like, $25 or something. And I did the Lagavulin 9, which I thought was solid. Yeah, I'm pretty much aligned with you. I think I would kind of go the same way as you. The Distillers Edition, I really like. One of my wishes in life is that, God, if they could do a cast strength of Distillers Edition.
Oh, yes. I would be. And I think, unfortunately, and this is where all the price comes into play, the 21 and the 25 are basically that plus an extra year. But you're right. If I had a way to get like a 12, I'm sorry, not a 12, but like I guess a 16 or 18-year Distillers Edition with that's cast strength, that would be insanely good.
Yeah. Have you had a Lagavulin 16 recently?
Recently, man, I think I've had one within the last year. I'm not sure what you mean by recent, but about maybe within the last year I have, yeah.
I haven't had it in a couple of years, and I'll tell you what I've seen. I mean, last year at this time, USD prices, the Lagavulin 16 was, $65, $70. Man, I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it now in the almost 85 to 100 range. I've seen the Lagavulin 16 for $100 fucking dollars. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is sad. I haven't seen it as low as you have, unless you go to Costco or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But I have seen the average when I started looking a while back, a few years ago, was about 80 to 80. I'd say about 80 to 85 was the typical Maryland price that I would find. But I think it has climbed up to a 90 or even, like you said, almost 100. And the only way they're getting away with that is because of all these other distilleries are raising their prices. Like Dalmore for the 18, went from 150 to 210. I'm like, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Springbank, 10 is $74.
Man, I've seen Springbank 10 for $85.
Oh, wow. And I'm going by a few years ago. So, yeah. I mean,
it's crazy, man. Like, right now, the Springbank 15 is $140 US average.
I think the reason why, though, you've seen it within the last couple of years are these GD tariffs.
Well, yeah, I know some of that's been happening, but you're seeing it happen with certain distilleries and not others. Like, I haven't seen Talisker prices go up through the roof. I haven't seen Lafroig's go up $20. I've seen Springbank, Lagavulin, and I think you said Dalmore. I haven't honestly looked at any Dalmores recently, but Springbank and Lagavulin are the ones I'm noticing.
When I talked to Tom over at Petite Cellars, the guy I usually buy through locally, he was saying that certain distilleries are eating the cost for us.
Yeah, I believe it. And it's probably
Certain
just
ones can't,
unsustainable after a while. It's probably just unsustainable after a while. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more US distillery or, US prices go up for other single malts eventually. I think it's inevitable with this freaking tariff. But I also I'm not sure once this tariff will get repealed at some point. I'm not clear that these prices are going to go down.
Well, it supposedly, and I haven't talked to him about this. I did talk to him the other day just to see if they were open and they were accepting like curbside service, things like that. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely try to get up there to support them. But he was saying that every 3 months they have to do a review of this, and it's on the 15th, and one of the months was in May. So it could be, I think it was last May that this was started. I can't remember when this started officially, but I remember like every 3 months, I think one of them was February. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So I think this month around really soon, and then in August I think we'll see another review. But what's been happening is they haven't been adding tariffs, they haven't been taking them away, but they've been keeping them the same from what I've heard from he's telling me. But hopefully, and like he said, they'll drop them soon. But like you said, it's hard to tell what's going to happen with the way things are going.
Totally. The other thing is that the other distillery that I've seen prices go up, but these were going up before the tariff, is Glendronach.
Oh yeah.
The Allardyce is like $180, 150, 100, 170 to $180 in a lot of places in the US now, which is like a lot, man. I mean, this is the reality. Like,
well, the thing here has been like even 3 years ago when I first started looking for Glendronachs locally here in Maryland, where I live near Annapolis, it was 189 for the Allardyce and like God 215, 220 for the Parliament, and but if you go online, you can get Glendronach extremely cheap. You can get the 15 for like under $100. You can get the 18 for like 120. You can get even the 21 for under 200. Usually, if you play your cards right.
Yeah, and honestly, I was able to get a bunch of the 2019 Glendronach Allardyce bottles. I got two of them, which is of course according to the internet and some people who figured out this stuff. It's like the 24-year-old. Because now this year the new ones are coming out for the new, any 2020 bottled Glendronach Allardyce is back down to 18 years. But yeah, I mean,
I think that affects it. I think some of these whiskey guys are smart enough like us to know that they really have 24-year-old stuff instead of the 18-year-old stuff. And they're thinking to themselves, ooh, I could actually charge a little more because it's so sought after. I think that's why some of these guys are doing that, but don't quote me on it.
Yeah. And I think honestly what it leads to, for folks who are like really into single malts is you start looking for those distilleries that, aren't the huge names. An example of one that I've been into recently is Anach. Like I got a 24-year-old Anach for under $200.
I love it, man. Yeah. I wasn't that lucky, but it was close to.
Yeah, you had it like right in that 200 range, right?
It was like 220 for that bottle right there. That 24 Anach is really good. If you can find one, guys, you got to pick it up. You will not be disappointed for the couple $100 for a 24-year-old that tastes like a 24-year-old too.
Yeah, I just noticed a couple things in the chat that are kind of interesting. So like Trooper Henry is talking about seeing Lagavulin 16 and distillers editions for over 100 around him. And Welsh Toro was mentioning that, and he's totally right. That most folks drink blends. These are kind of luxury items, which is true. But at the same time, it's like, I also think part of it is just the whiskey hype. I mean, in the US, the bourbon craze is so high. I mean, you want to talk about inflated prices. We could talk about bourbons, but I think it's bled over to Scotch a little bit in some cases. But some folks are mentioning here too, that they're seeing Glendronach 18, Trooper Henry said 176 in Louisiana, Richie Z for 160. I mean, these are heavy prices. Welsh Toro still sees the 18 for under 100 pounds UK.
Yeah. That's where you have to get the Glendronach from.
Toro's totally right. So you mentioned that, that they pay way more for bourbon, that it's hardly worth it. It was an interesting thing, right? So when I was over in, I was in Dublin and London, and It's amazing the bourbon prices there because, coming from the States, it's just the exercise in contrast. I'm sure folks from the UK, if they come here and look at the Scotch prices and be like, oh, shit,
Hey,
it's always just kind of a neat thing, right?
hey, Don, what did you think of the Victoriana at 54.2? You had insomnia last night, but I bet you liked it. We both liked it a lot.
Yeah, Victoriana's great.
Big,
Again, I think Glen Scotia's awesome. I got to get my hands on that 18 at some point in time. I've seen it for sub $100. I mean, that's just stupid for a single malt these days.
oh yeah.
It's hard. You're hard pressed to find 18-year-olds that reasonably priced anymore. I got to get my hands on it, but I love that 15 so much. It's like,
And that's why it's hard to knock Lagavulin 16 for being close to 100 because, I mean, most 16-year-old whiskeys, if they do a 16 that I can think of, are definitely higher price than the $80 range. It's almost like we're lucky we got it for so cheap, I guess, for so long. I don't know.
yeah, 16 is an interesting age. You just don't see a lot of them. I think there was the Highland Park, what is it called, like Wings of the Eagle or something like that. Which
Yeah.
is 16, and then they also have the Twisted Tattoo, which is also 16. But boy, you don't see a lot of 16. I know Mortlock has a 16-year-old now, and whatever. But yeah, you just don't see a lot of them anymore, or not anymore, but at all.
Yeah, I think the only time you see these off years also are with the travel retail exclusives. I know Ball Blair, like their new core line is a 12, a 15, and 18, and they even have like a 20 something. But they do have like an off year, like a 16, but it's only a travel retail exclusive. But it's their new line, so I would definitely be kind of really skittish about it because not only is it one of their new ones, it's also travel retail, so it's almost like a double whammy.
Yeah. Totally, man. Totally.
Pour me some more grooves.
Yeah, do that. I got to actually go and grab a water refill, so I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
That's cool, man. I'll catch up on some comments while we get Malt back here. Go for the Glen Scotia 18. It's really good, Welsh says. Well, okay. Glendronach 18 is still under 100 pounds in the UK. Yeah, that's where I would definitely recommend people in the US even to try to get their Glendronach stash is definitely try to order it because anything local is just way overpriced. Don says, I like the 15 was good, but the Victorian might be even better. Wow. I think that for me, and this is just subjective, of course, the 15 to me is a better taste, but the Victoriana is a better crafted whiskey that's more complex. So it really depends on, if I'm wanting to get more notes and I'm wanting to be a little more adventurous, then I would sit down and go for the Victoriana. If I'm wanting just to sit down, no frills, have a really nice, sweet, simple, but yet complex enough dram where I'm just sipping, watching TV, and I don't need to really try to pick out notes, and I'm having more just of a fun time, then I'd say the 15 would be where it's at. But yeah, it's funny. I can like argue with myself on which one I would pick up for which reason. Juan Quintanilla, can't even say it. Quintanilla. Juan Quintanilla. Good to see you, man. Thanks for. I'm probably butchering your name, but I'm really trying. And I've had a few drams, so I don't even speak Spanish, and I know two L's is a Y. That's all I know. I want a second bottle of Victoriana Superb Campbelltown from Richie Z. Yeah. The goal was to really ruin that distillery. They did a masterful job. Oh, I missed it, Jason. Who are you talking about? Which distillery? I'm just curious. The Glenlivet 16 and not 16, Bob Laird 1997 were all great bourbon expressions, all scrapped now for inferior bottles. That's really sad. I didn't even know Glenlivet had a 16 or Enoch having a 16. I knew about the Ball Blair, their vintage series, man. I mean, the 1990, the 1999, the 1983, those Ball Blairs are just balls to the wall awesome. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm surprised that they did. I'm hoping that it's just because they ran out of juice and they're saving some up, and it's going to take just hopefully 10 years to get some new stuff. But man, I haven't had any of their new ones. I want to try one if I can get my hands on one, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it being, fantastic. Nadura 16. Yeah, Nadura 16 is one. What was the distillery, Jason? I missed. That was the one that was being ruined, and they did a masterful job. Do you know what he was talking about there, Malt?
I didn't catch it. You were talking about Ballblair?
Well, I was a little bit, but Jason Coates says if their goal was to utterly ruin that distillery, they did a masterful job. I'm trying to figure out which one he's talking about.
Old Pulteney, probably. Old Pulteney is one that they changed all their lineups recently on.
Well, both
the Ballblair thing,
and
Ballblair. I don't have any of those age statement the new age statement Ballblairs. I do have I have a bottle of the 1999 vintage and that 1990, which I love. But yeah, I've heard that some folks definitely feel like the new Ballblair stuff is not really up to par, which is unfortunate because that was such a good distillery. But I don't know. There's something with their marketing, right? So it's Ballblair and Old Pulteney, I think, are owned by the same group. There might be, I don't know if it's Highland Park also.
No. It's Thai Bev. Thai Bev does Anok, Speyburn, Old Pulteney.
Oh God, I hope they don't mess up Anok.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's coming next. So that's why I'm saying if you can find the Anok 24, you better buy a bottle of it because you're not going to see it probably for very much longer. Ballblair, Old Pulteney, Anok, and Speyburn. Those are their big 4 brands that they do. Is this the one that you had?
Yeah, the 99. Yep.
Oh, I love that bottle, man. It's long gone, but man, it's one of those that I will save for a while. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's good. The Anok, or not the Anok, if you ever get a chance, and I could, once this COVID stuff abates a bit, I'll send you a sample. I have 2 bottles of the 1990 second release.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the Ballblair, $149 a piece I got them for.
Oh my!
They're fantastic. I got them last year. It's so good. You'll love it. I'll definitely get you a pour. 46%.
You're killing me, man. That's the one. I was lucky enough to have a sip of the 83, which blew my mind, and I had my own bottle of. I had my own bottle of that.
$100, right? But I've never been able to get a chance to try it.
I had that bottle of 99 was the only one I had, but out of those 2, I heard the 90 was superb, but I'd never got a chance to even get my hands on it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I was lucky enough to have the 05 at a whiskey expo, and it was actually pretty good. It was only like a 12-year, but it was still solid. I hope, and sadly, I've heard that the new 12 isn't all that great, but we'll see. Hey, there's Stephen Connor. Well, how you doing, man? Yeah,
that's a real bummer. I also like. Just from an aesthetics point of view, I really liked Ballblair's style. They kind of had these like fluorescent, pastel colored boxes that were kind of unique and interesting. I like the way that they did the vintage stuff. It's kind of a bummer that they got rid of it.
I wish they just
look like any other distillery. Like there's nothing about their presentation that's like unique anymore.
Isn't that strange? And why change? I mean, I guess they had to change to make if they ran out of it, but it's like, why change what you had going? It was so good.
Yeah.
To, take it completely in a 360, well, not 360, 120 direction.
180.
180, that's what I've done.
Something like that.
I wasn't a math
We're not here to do math.
That's where we go. That was long gone a while back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a real bummer, man.
Oh wow, the last Ballblair 91 was 27 years old and cost £110. Wow, that is now cost £450. That is crazy. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. I really liked the Ballblair thing, and you can still find them here and there, some of the old vintage stuff, but this is going to go quick. 2 or 3 years, you won't be able to see them that much no more.
Well, here's the funny thing. This is one thing I want to address here. This is important. Now, I'm not disagreeing with Jason that says, personally, I'm making a point to not buy anything from the new bad lineups. But if we all don't give it a try, you can't just go by a few reviewers, because I have had issues where, like, I'll have a couple people that review something and it's negative, and then I'll say, okay, I'm not going to try it. And then lo and behold, 3 or 4 reviews later, then you hear all these great things about it. And
yeah,
and if someone's like a big Spice Bomb fan and you're not, it doesn't mean that it's bad whiskey. It's just,
I personally, that's a good point. I do my best, and I fail at this often, but I do my best to try to buy things before I watch reviews of them. I watch the reviews after I buy it. So then I'm like, I've tasted it and I can kind of hear other people's notes. It's not an exact science. So like one that has not had a lot of reviews up, which I know is going to be reviewed soon, is this one that I got a couple weeks ago, which is, and folks in the UK might know it. This is the Highland Park 21, the new Highland Park 21. I'm going to open this for my 100th review, which is going to be in probably a month or so. And I'm really excited about it, but I guarantee you that there are going to be strong opinions. I know a lot of people like the old Highland Park 21. This is a little bit lower ABV. I'm sure there's some folks in the UK, if they're on here, that have already had this Highland Park 21, but I've done like my best not to read anything about it or do any reviews or watch any reviews, because I'm like, I'm going to try this. I'm not going to get it influenced. And that's the way I try to do it, but it's not always easy.
Don't get tainted. Jason's right. It's like if we don't not buy it, they're not going to know that they screwed up. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wish there was a way that we could get, I guess the moral of the story is don't buy the bottle. Try to get it at a tasting or a method where you're not spilling a lot of money to try it out.
Another one that changed their lineup recently, I think, was one you mentioned earlier, and it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. They just changed their Mortlock.
Yeah, Mortlock was another one that went through, and they didn't really have a whole lot going on beforehand. They had a lot of independent bottlings of like they always. They had the rare old. The rare old was kind of like their go-to, and they had like a 15-year, I think. But that was really all they had in their core. They only had like a 15 and a rare old, I think, or I don't even think they had a 12. And then finally they thought, well, I guess we'll release a lineup. And they went hardcore. They went 12, 16, 18, 20, not even counting the extra Game of Thrones stuff, but just the solid, 12, 16, 18, 20. And I think they even have a 20 something else, like a 24 or 25. But the 20 alone is like 200 plus. And that's why I was like, I don't know if I would. I think I would maybe try the 18. It might be the sweet spot to see if it's, but this 15 being, I think it's a higher ABV than other ones. I think that might be a good one too. So we'll see. I wish I had a way to do a shootout between the two of them, but you can only do that with
that'd be fun.
But you'll have to get your Wee out when we do if we do like a Mortlock show soon, hopefully. That'd be cool.
Definitely. I've never had Mortlock. I've never had anything from Mortlock. I just got, I got a bottle of the 12-year-old Wee Beastie, not Wee Beastie, Wee Witchy. I'm going to try that, and I look forward to it. I've heard good things, and it's the intro to their core range, so.
Do you like a meaty whiskey? Like it's a very savory distillery type.
I've heard that. Yeah, that's the kind of the profile I've heard about Mortlock. Yeah, I do. So I'm looking forward to trying that. I wonder if I'm trying to think of other ones that I think are really savory. I'm not sure. I mean, I've heard Mortlock's kind of a unique thing all in and of itself. And so
it's the only thing I could think of. Have you ever had a Ben Nevis before?
I do have a bottle of the Ben Nevis. It's a 10-year-old, I think. Yeah.
Have you opened up that before? Or?
I haven't yet. It's on my list, though.
That you're going to fall in love with that. If you don't mind a little sulfur. The Mortlocks usually, I don't think, have as much sulfur as the Ben Nevises do, but the Mortlocks should have a little bit with more of a meaty, kind of a savory type of dram. Definitely not on the sweet end. So definitely try to be in the mood for something, or if you're in the mood for blending, and after you've definitely have tried it and got all the notes out of it you want, if you're kind of like, I wonder if this would go well with something, I would definitely look for a good PX whiskey that you do like. Do like about 70% of the Mortlock 12 and 30% of whatever like PX you like. With that marriage, I bet you it would be really, really good with that savory with the sweetness. That might actually be a big hit. I don't know. I'd love to try it though.
Yeah. That's not one I'm super familiar with, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'd be curious if you, so Ben Nevis, this I guess it's one of those. I guess for lack of a better word, I'm going to say like more obscure, not the like mainstream malts that a lot of people are familiar with. I'm curious if there's any other distilleries in that kind of range that you're a big fan of. Things that come to mind for me are like, when you think about these, kind of distilleries that don't really, Enoch is the classic example. Like, I don't think not everybody's drinking Enoch, but be curious if you have any other ones like that you think about.
Yeah, and just on the side, I was seeing that someone said Grgaliki was meaty, and I agree. Grgaliki has a bit of a more of a savory feel to it comparatively, and also another good one. I like Grgaliki a lot. The 13 is the one I've had. I want to try. They have a 17, I think, and a 23. 17 is affordable. 23 is a bit pricey. That's one I would love to get my hands on. Either one, really. Glencadam is a good,
Yeah, Glencadam.
Savory kind of underrated distillery. Grgaliki that you talked about. I'm sorry, Glenallachie. You recently talked about is a really good off kind of the wall.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like Glenallachie quite a bit. I recently got my hands on the 15-year-old Glenallachie, which is like a Oloroso PX in the same vein as that Glendronach 15, which I quite like.
And I'm not a fan. I'm not a huge, Space Side or Highland or Lowland fan per se, but the Dalwhinnie stuff's pretty decent for a lighter whiskey. If I'm not wanting something heavy,
you're talking about like the Dalwhinnie 15, the Honey Bear.
Yeah.
The Honey Bear, man. I have not had their Distiller's Edition. I'm not sure what the aging is on the finishes on it, but
I haven't either.
I've had the Dalwhinnie 15, and I think it was a solid one, but I don't think I'd buy it again. But I liked it.
I think it's good. Like if you just want a good whiskey where people that you're coming over, they're not peat heads or not sherry fans, or they just want a good whiskey, but they don't want a bourbon. They want something kind of outside the box. Other than going to like a Lowland, like a Glenkinchie, I would much rather have a Dalwhinnie 15.
I totally agree with you on the Dalwhinnie 15. That since the Dalwhinnie 15 is one of those whiskeys that, like, I think is a bridge. It's a good bridge into single malt.
Here you go. If you do end up liking the savory stuff a lot, the Longmorn 16. Longmorn's a good savory distillery, I'd say.
I haven't had any Longmorn. No.
Oh, get the 16 if you can find the old. The new bottle, I think, is purple. The one I've got is a grayish bottle. It says Longmorn 16 on it. I think the new one might be purple. I've heard that there's not a lot of differences between the makes, at least, but I haven't had the new one to tell you. But definitely look. It's not overpriced typically either. And if you like spicy food, it's got that kind of thing going. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, that's not a distillery that I've had any I haven't had any relationship with, but this reminds me of something. Have you had any of the Loch Lomond stuff?
I have, and that's the one that kind of didn't really do it for me. The first dram I had by them was this basic 12, and for some, I'm not sure if it's my palate or if it just irks me in a weird way, but I got a lot of soapy notes from the 12, and other people don't really get that from it. I did have an 18 Inchmurrin, which is their peated version, and the 18 Inchmurrin's not bad. It's 48%. It's just a very, very thin mouth coat. It's kind of reminiscent of a Glengoyne kind of a feel to it.
Oh, okay.
It didn't really do a lot for me as far as that. But the taste is decent, though. But those are only two local ones that I've had. What about you?
I've had none of them, but I've heard like another whiskey channel that I really like is the Single Malt Review, and they really love the Loch Lomond stuff. I was actually just before I went live for happy hour on my channel earlier tonight, was watching their review of the Loch Lomond 18 because I keep seeing the Loch Lomond 18 at a really, really good price. It's like $75.
Yeah,
it's like Tomatin 18. Like Tomatin 18 and Loch Lomond 18, I keep seeing like under $80 for an 18-year-old single malt. And so I immediately like raises red flags for me because I'm like, if it's that cheap, is it good? But I keep hearing good things about it.
That's the thing. I can't remember if it was Jason Coates or somebody else, but they were really a big fan of the Local Lomond 12, and they didn't get the stuff that I got from it. So don't take what I say as as anything that's going to deter you from trying it. But yeah, like Jack says, that the Local Lomond 12 was sour for me halfway through the bottle. It tastes like scotch, and $45 typical Scotch, if there is such a thing. Yeah. Uh, I just got this overly soapy thing from the only other Scotch I ever got like that was the new version of the Old Pulteney 25 to me, and it was at a tasting. Thank God I didn't spend money on it, but it was at a tasting where
Oh,
they,
that's disappointing.
yeah, the 15 was my favorite. The 18 was okay, not as good as the old 21, and then the 25 was really soapy. The 35 was really good. They had like a big range of years that they came with. So that part was kind of cool, but the 25 was kind of weird to me.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I ever got the soapy notes, like that from.
interesting.
But
Yeah,
you were,
I've not had it. That's going to be one that I got to try. An old Pulteney. I've had the 12, which I think is still really good. The 12 is great. Like, yeah, sub $40 in some places. Really good stuff. I like the old Pulteney 12, but the age statement stuff on those is real expensive. Which is kind of similar to everything. But I'd love it. I have my eyes on a bottle of the old Pulteney 15, which is something I got to try. So I'm gonna get my hands on that sooner or later.
definitely. Out of all the new bottles that Old Pulteney has, the 15 ironically was my favorite out of all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You had the new 18?
I had the new 15, the new 18, the new 25, and the new 35, all in a tasting. Yeah, and the best one to me, I'm not joking with you, was the 15. I have no idea why.
Yeah, that usually happens with me when it's like Isla peated scotches. I tend to like them a little younger because they're punchy. But I'd be curious if anybody else has opinions in the chat on on any of these new old Pulteneys, if anybody's had any. I'd love to hear what people think about that. Meanwhile, I just got to say, man, I'm about to finish up this dram of the Lagavulin. This is the Lagavulin 12, 2018 edition. Yeah, what a great pour.
Oh, yeah, I love that bottle. I still have my old
one. Who I know I've been doing a lot of whiskey swapping and reviews with Foodquig live shows over the years, and he has been just doing a whole bunch of reviews of different vintage releases of the Lagavulin 12 as of late. He just did another one on the 2016 version. He's been getting his hands on a bunch of these, so I don't know if there's they're just showing up at decent prices. But boy, I got this for $110 in Chicago.
Wow,
man, it's like $150 everywhere.
Definitely. It's been 144 here for the longest time, like 3 years. Yeah. I'm not surprised that it's gone up to that, but I'm kind of scary to see what the prices are around here now that I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah, it's too much, man. I won't spend $150 on this, but damn, it's a good whiskey.
Trooper had a good question. Well, it wasn't really a question, but he picked up the Lagavulin 18 for $72. Great price. Did you like it? Did you actually try it? And what did you think of it there, Trooper? I'm curious. That Lagavulin is a great price, but I was going to tell Malt, to me, usually with whiskey, you get what you pay for to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you find and the Glenmora was a good example. An 18 Glenmora you can get for a really reasonable $70, $75. It's a good whiskey after a lot of oxidation, though. You have to be patient with let it, definitely decant it like you would a wine. But unless you knew that going in, you're not going to be as impressed as any other 18 that you do spend a little bit more on. You're going to like a lot more.
I got to ask you, since we've been chatting on and off about Lagavulin tonight, have you ever got a chance to try any of the White Horse?
Oh man,
I haven't. I just got to ask, because if I meet anybody that does, I got to hear about it.
I wish. I do know somebody that probably has a bottle or two of that stuff, and I have to find a way to talk him into like opening or sharing or something. And I've shared whiskey with him before. I probably just need to find a bottle that he likes and offer like a trade or something. You guys won't know him. I bet Prane from Distiller probably had, PB Wolverine, Michigan, right?
Yeah, I know.
I bet that guy probably has a White Horse bottle or two in his closet somewhere. If I had to take a guess. Oh, I didn't tell you. Did I tell you about Aquaman?
No, you didn't. I know we were talking a little bit about it last week. What's up?
Yeah, he actually unfortunately was dealing with the virus and got out of the
Oh
hospital.
no.
Yeah, he got out of the hospital and is doing better. Thank God. Thank the maker, and everything's cool now. But he was out of commission for a while, and that's why we didn't hear from him. I'm just glad that I reached out to Prene and I was like, "Hey, have you heard anything from Aquaman?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I heard he just got out of the hospital finally. He actually was dealing with that stuff."
Oh man, that's awful,
Yeah.
man. I mean, we're getting to this point now with the virus where like everybody's going to start knowing somebody that's had it,
Yeah,
Especially here in the United States. I know some of the other countries are doing better with this, and I don't know where everybody's on the chat tonight is from, but yeah, man, it's wreaking havoc.
For the longest time, I thought maybe this is as bad as I thought because I didn't know anybody. But over time, you're right. It's like you start hearing about.
That's going to become the thing, man. I mean, everybody's going to know somebody. I think, if not now, in the next couple of months, it's just the way it is, Well,
I can't speak for DC or Pennsylvania or Virginia, but thankfully in Maryland, our governor is extremely slow at doing things, and I'm even though he's a Republican, he's not like all gung ho. I'm going to open everything like some of these more southern states are.
Yeah,
so he's being a little more careful, and DC is still a pretty nasty hotspot. We've got like thousands upon thousands, and just a couple counties in Maryland alone around DC, like Montgomery and Prince George's, that has a boatload of stuff. But I'm in Anne Arundel County, which is kind of outside of everything. We still got 2,500 people on it. In my zip code alone, I've got 60. Last time I looked, it was like 68 to 70 people that had it. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, PA has been not. I mean, obviously, it's not been as bad as New York or northern New Jersey, but I'm for folks who don't, I'm in Philadelphia, so I'm in like West Philadelphia. Philly, we're in a place now where the state's slowly opening up in a very staggered way. They're kind of color coding. I mean, Philadelphia is going to be the last. They just extended our lockdown another month. Philly is still seeing about 1,000 positive test cases a day.
Wow.
It's just, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a metro. I mean, metro area is, fifth or sixth biggest in the country. It's just kind of how it's going to be. But South Jersey, so like Philly is right on the river, Delaware River, and right across is South Jersey.
Yeah.
So South Jersey has been not nearly hit as bad as, so far at least, fingers crossed, as northern New Jersey by New York City. But Philly's just been, and that's why like I got some people I got to send samples to still. I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to the post office quite yet,
I'm in the same boat. Like Stephen Connor and I've been trading some salsa here and there, and it's fun. And they're out in Tennessee, so it's a bit of a different story. Here, I don't even feel comfortable going to the damn McDonald's. You know what I mean? I don't even want to get in my car and go outside of my driveway.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I'm not walking in some post office in West Philly right now. I'm just not doing it. Forget all that noise.
Yeah, but thankfully, I think once the sanitizer and the PPE and some of that stuff hopefully becomes more available, I'm not sure what it's going to take, but hopefully the stuff will be easier to deal with sooner rather than later. But I'm not going to hold my breath. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. In the meantime, I'm going to continue my detoxifying of any exposure by doing a little Mocker Bay cast.
Nice. Ooh, don't drink all of that.
Don't worry, I have more.
Okay.
I got more. You're gonna have a sample of this with your name on it because you gotta have this.
Oh yes, because Mocker Bay cask strength is a whole nother story. The Mocker Bay alone is good, and I can imagine how good that one is.
Yeah, you're gonna have to try this one. This is good. I'm already putting the short list together. As I know, we've talked about a couple times since we've started doing Tuesday shows. Once this coronavirus stuff for us East Coasters is abated a bit, Telex and I will be doing a lot more kind of tandem tasting samples on the show. So we'll get to try some stuff in real time. Should be a lot of fun. We'll give people a heads up on what we're going to taste. So if anybody has it, they can do a tasting with us. Should be good fun.
But, yeah, Trooper was saying that the local almond, I'd give a 3 out of 5. And yes, the oxidation really did help towards the end of the bottle. Okay. So if you get that local almond 18, maybe decant it a bit. Did you try decanting it like a wine, Trooper, or did you just pour some, sip it, for a while, and over time it just got better as the bottle went down? Or did you actually, what I like to do, if I know a whiskey is better when it's decanted, I'll actually get a decanter and pour it out, let it air out a bit, and then maybe bottle it and keep it at that state if I can. But do you ever do that kind of thing, Malt?
Yeah, I've started doing. I've dabbled in the gassing. So I have the wine preserver, so I've gassed a couple whiskeys. It's difficult for me to tell. I believe that it works. I mean, in other words, if you're not going to drink something, I've been using it mostly on whiskeys that I drink on special occasions.
But have you ever had a whiskey where you knew? But have you ever had a whiskey where you knew it needed oxidation, and you had a bowl or some sort of device that you could pour it in, let it air out for a while?
Oh, interesting. No, I haven't done that. I've mostly just kept things in bottles. I haven't done anything quite that sophisticated, but it makes sense. There's definitely, there's definitely some whiskeys that I think have opened up more with time. One that I noticed significantly was Glengoyne 18.
Oh yeah,
which I even after oxidization just didn't really do it for me. I thought it was kind of a weak release. I thought the 15 was much better, but that's one that I noticed the oxygen really benefited it.
The Glengoyne peated portwood was one of those where it took 45 minutes minimum to really open up and do much. So that's why it's one of those whiskeys that I would definitely pour and decant, like a wine, and then, enjoy it that way if possible. I haven't tried it myself. That's my plan. If I ever get a port type of whiskey or something I know that needs there's another whiskey like that. I think it was a Macallan. I'm trying to remember which one it was. It might have been a rare cask or something where it took us extraordinarily a long time to really open up. And I thought, well, hell, if I'm going to wait 45 minutes, I might as well truly decant it like a red wine or something like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a theory. It's not proven yet. Looks like Richie Z is starting his Kilchoman journey with the fantastic Seneg. I do like the Seneg, and that's another savory dram. If you're not a big savory fan, you might not like it as much. I don't think you were a huge fan of the Seneg, were you?
Yeah, so I only had a sample from Aquaman. Aquaman sent me a sample of the Seneg. It wasn't my favorite, but it was decent. Where am I at on Kilchoman? So yeah, I've had the Mocker Bay. I'm obviously luckily landed this Mocker Bay cast strength, which is amazing.
I'd love to have a bottle. I got to get that bottle somehow.
Yeah, I'll do it. If you don't find it, I mean, I don't know how easy it is to find, but I'll definitely get you a sample. I've had the red wine cask, which I thought was pretty good. I've had the Lochgorm, which I think is probably my favorite. And I do have an original cast strength and an SDR that I've not yet. I haven't opened the SDR yet. I also have a single cast sherry. So I got a couple of Kilchomans. Oh, and I also have a 100% Islay. But yeah, the Lochgorm is my favorite, I think, so far. And then the Mocker Bay right after it.
Yeah. I think it's funny, from my favorite, you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but my favorite I've ever had by them might be the red wine cask. I love it for some reason.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's something about the marriage of the peat with that red wine cask. I just loved it. My second favorite Kilchoman of all time is the original cast strength, actually. It's peanut brittle. It's a lot like that Lefroy Gonkomar. It kind of reminded me of that a lot. Then I would have to go to the Lochgorm. I would agree with you. That's probably my favorite of the core, what I would consider the core line. The stuff like the Seneg and the STR and the Sauternes was actually pretty good. Have you ever had the Sauternes?
No, I have not had that one.
That's worth a pickup if you don't mind a Sauternes cask whiskey, maturation. I would definitely try it in the. That was probably my third or fourth, and then I would go to like the vintage 2008 I had. It was really good. It's kind of reminiscent of like a Isla 100% or a Macure Bay. The STR was okay. It was a little thin to me compared to some of the other ones, I guess, but it wasn't a letdown like this Lagavulin 10 was by any means, but it was a little more one dimensional, I guess. It's a good charred whiskey, but that was about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I generally just really like Kilhoman. They do have, as the distilleries age, there's a couple that are getting older. I know that they have like a couple like 11, 12-year-old single cask sherries. I've never got the chance to buy any. They're like $150, so they were just a little bit on the pricey side. And in general, I think Kilhoman's just a little bit on the pricey side. But I think the Mocker Bay, I mean, this cask strength Mocker Bay I got for 70, which I think is a really good price. I mean, I don't know what the age is on this. Maybe it's 5 years, 6 years. It doesn't say. Actually, let me just double check. They do sometimes put the like bottle and distilled date on it.
Is that the regular or the cask strength?
This is the cask strength.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they don't have the date on it. So I don't know. This might be maybe close to 10. It's tough to say. It's not super spirity, so I think it might be a little bit, it might be close to 10 years.
Do you know what the year on the bottle is? Like if it's 2018 or 2019?
Oh, it's from the Meet the Pete Tour 2019. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's definitely more of a 9-year. I think they start like in 2000. I want to say, let's see, this is a 2008. I'm trying to remember what year they started. Was it 2006 or 7 maybe?
Sounds right.
That's probably a pretty good number, I would think. At least a 9 or 10. Close to 10 is probably a 9-year if I had to take a guess on what you got there, I bet. Because if you had a 10-year, why wouldn't you put a number on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't have a lot of, so they have a vintage line.
Yeah.
They have like a vintage 2010 or something like that. So like some of it they might be doing that type of agement, but I've never seen much from Kilhoman with age statements.
They just started doing some. I just got an email recently because I'm part of their like Kilhoman little, kind of similar to the Friends of Lafroig or the Ardbeg Committee release type thing. They have a new Fischel that's a 12-year-old statement. I couldn't believe it. And it's going to be available soon on their website. I don't know about ordering from them, though, from the United States. I've never had any luck with doing that when it comes to like the official distilleries like Highland Park or Kilhoman. But if anyone knows a way to get that 12-year that they just released, I would really be interested because that sounds really good.
I saw on Instagram today that their website crashed because so many people were trying to get it and they had to figure out some other way to do it.
Damn it. Well, there you go. But to answer your question about the higher end, the best, I forgot to mention, and it is probably maybe either second or third place. I do have a Kilhoman cask strength. It's a country vintner release. It is one of those single barrels. It's all bourbon, though. It's not one of the single sherry. It's a single bourbon release. That was kick ass. That was $150, but it was worth every penny of it. I'm telling you.
Oh, interesting. Was there like a vintage year on it, you said?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me pull it down. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I'd definitely love to hear it. Those are not easy to come by. I know that.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, this is to give you kind of a.
Interesting.
It's a single bourbon cask, country vintner cask strength. This I picked up from Petite Cellars, and if you are in the DC area and you're looking for a Kilhoman cask strength, whether it be sherry or single bourbon, like an Impex type, it's called Impex.
That's the distributor in the U.S. I think. Yeah.
They do a lot at Petite Cellars, has a boatload of these, and they usually are about 150. But this, you got to keep in mind, this is 60.4%. I mean, this is like high end cask strength, no chill filtering, no coloring, no bullshit. It's like you get what you get, and you don't get upset.
How's my audio right now? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's still good.
Okay, good. Sometimes when I'd switch to a headset, and sometimes they get a little gnarly.
Oh, it's fine. But I mean, there's no like technical age statement. Oh, Kilhoman was established in '05. There we go. But this one I think was it's not like an age statement on this per se, but it's definitely like a single bourbon cask just for the country vintner. And they do a lot of these. They have different. I'm not sure if I would call it a bottling or a barreling or how you would describe that, but they do have a lot of options as far as different. If you don't like country vintner, for example, you can get other ones. Other types that they do.
Yeah, I'm not. Country vintner, is that just like a local exclusive? I'm not actually sure what that is. I've seen them, but I'm not sure.
I think it's a restaurant of some sort. It's a member of the Vintner Group, which I guess is
interesting. They got some deal with them, right? It's like High Grove with Lefroy. I have a High Grove 12-year-old single cask Lefroy, which is like some British restaurant chain kind of store. I don't know what it is. We'll have to talk about that sometime.
I've heard of Ingrove, I think, somewhere before. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, the Impex thing. So there's a lot of Kilhoman, like 10-year, 11-year Impex single cask sherries here in the U.S. I know a place by you, Potomac Wine and Spirits in D.C. has that. Yeah.
Petit has a bunch of those too, along with these types. They have a lot of the Impex sherries and and Richie was saying that the main distributor, the Impex, is in the Bay Area, California, so give them a call and ask about shipping to Maryland.
Yeah, San Francisco, I think, right? Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, because I tell you what, when you're looking at Scotch prices across the board, even from like Maine to Florida to Iowa, sometimes the cheapest prices, and I think it's because they are imported first to California, is in California. It blows my mind.
No doubt.
I've seen it happen many times, though. Have you too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I lived in D.C., man, D.C. was one of those states that's real liberal with the buying of spirits online, and I used to get tons of stuff from California. There was a couple shops there. You could get Ugadal for $54 a bottle. They had just tons. I mean, I built a quarter of my collection off California FedEx shipments.
There you go. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
It was nice. Not so much here in PA, but
Well, it says Kilhoman has a very good single barrel port cask at cask strength a couple of years ago. I had the port cask matured. I don't think that's the one he's talking about. I was kind of let down. That was the only Kilhoman. It was a sample. I didn't buy a bottle myself yet. I might still get one at some point. That was the only Kilhoman I ever kind of felt like it didn't really do it for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, since we're kind of, and maybe we can do a show on this when we get into June on like the best new bottles you've cracked here in 2020. But I'm curious if you have any Kilhomans that you've tried this year that were really, kind of mind blowing for you.
Like I said, the STR,
the Sauternes, you said, or the STR.
The STR did not blow my mind. That was a recent one that I had that didn't do it, and that port cask matured didn't do it for me. But I tell you what, I really love the red wine. Like I said, the original cask strength, the Lochgorm, the original. The Sauternes one, and these singles. The single barrel.
Are those boxes behind you filled?
These ones up here.
They've got bottles in them. Yeah, they still have like full bottles in them.
No, God, I wish.
Oh God, okay.
no, those I went through pretty quickly. There's some that will have juice, but some will not. I'll put it that way. It's kind of hit or miss with some of them, but but those definitely. Anything that's Isla, I probably have went through already, minus maybe the Kalila 18. I still have some that I'm kind of looking at, and a couple of Froigs and a couple of Ardbegs and a couple of Lagavulins. So the Kilhomans I've pretty much killed, and the Bunnahavens I've got maybe one or two I'm still kind of messing with, but yeah.
Do you have any of that Ardbeg Black committee release left?
Shoot, no. No, it doesn't last long around here if it's good. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, I hear you about that. I was looking to get another bottle of it, and man, I'm seeing it. The prices are crazy. Even place like not even secondary market like internet places, but regular shops, they're like $300 a bottle.
Which one
Like,
was this?
I've seen it on a couple shops online that were like it was
Which one?
upwards of 250 to $300 a bottle. The Ardbeg Black.
Oh, the black.
Anyways,
Yeah, they're already hitting 300 to 400 from what I've saw as well. It's pretty crazy.
I think that's going to be a good standard release, though. I thought the
Oh
Ardbeg Black
hell
was
yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah, it's gonna beat the shit out of the drum. That's for sure. It looks like
Yeah,
Dram agreed with you on the Kilhoman Red Cask. It matured. It was nice to him, but it didn't blow him away like it did for some other people that he knew. I'm one of those people that it did blow away, but yeah, that's one of those whiskeys I think that's like for some
yep.
people it's a 4. Like for me, it was a 4.75, 4.5. I loved it.
Wow. Yeah,
But
it was a
yeah,
3 out of 5 for me.
but some people, yeah, it just didn't hit the right notes for. I think it's the red. To me, like red wine and port cask matured whiskeys are really hit or miss on whether people dig them or not.
I totally agree with you. I am not a huge port fan. I do, and so I have actually just not bought a lot of port whiskeys. The ones that I've had, Glenmorangie 12, Glenmorangie 14, Quinta Rubens. I'm just not a huge port guy, but your point about the red wine cask is noted. While I didn't love the Kilhoman red wine cask, like I said, I gave it a 3 out of 5, which for me is like, I definitely try it, and then I recommend grabbing it if you can get it at a good price. The problem is it's $100 bottle. Conversely, you want another red wine cask, a fully Bordeaux matured Deanston 9-year-old. It's a 2008 vintage, which I have found for $70 is a 4 out of 5 for me. Unbelievably good. It's
Wow.
cast strength too. It's like 53%, 52. The Deanston Bordeaux is amazing. I also have a Bunnahabhain red wine Bordeaux that I haven't opened yet, but I can't wait to.
We were talking about underrated distilleries, and that's a big one right there. Is Deanston? I think they have
Yeah,
great material, and
totally.
I would not be surprised if that's one of those distilleries that in the next year or two you'll see their prices start rising because they are that good.
I hope not. Maybe we should stop
Well,
talking about it.
well, you know what I
But
mean. It's
no,
like we're
I
we're the
totally hear
people
you.
that
Yeah,
give people the heads up that like Anok 24, you got to buy it, and if you're going to buy something, you better get some stuff that we know is good while you can,
yeah,
because you're going to miss out if you don't. And the Ballblair
yeah,
was a good
absolutely.
example of that because I didn't know Ballblair was going away. If I knew it was going away, I would have gave you guys
Yeah.
a heads up a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a real bummer on the Ballblair thing. And no, your point about Deanston's well taken. What I've noticed is if you look at, and some of our friends in the UK, I know like Welsh Toro's over there, like, man, Deanston, similar to Bunnahabhain, there are just so many sherry and wine cask finishes that you just can't get in the States.
Yeah,
And
Hazelburn's like
it's
that
such a
too.
freaking Hazelburn too. It's such a bummer because god damn man, I would love to get my hands on some of those. There are so many Bunnahabhains and Deanstons that I'm like, man, Marsala finishes, Palo Corto finishes,
Amontillado,
yeah,
Manzanilla.
Amontillado, like Manzanilla, right? There's just so freaking many of them. Yeah, Trooper just said that. Yeah, the 9-year-old Bordeaux cask, man, that is a seriously good whiskey, and you can still find it here. I mean, I found that one in the States, and you can still get a bottle of that Bordeaux cask. That is a special pour.
Hey, Trooper,
I still have some open, so I'll definitely get it to you at some point in time.
I appreciate it. Trooper, tell Malt about the Bunnahabhain on the Grena. It seems like he was a fan after I told him about when I had that bottle, and it's funny because Mr. Lee, also known as Aquaman, was the one that turned me onto the Erling Grena from Bunnahabhain, and I turned it on to Trooper, and it seems like he was a fan of it too. I want to see what he thought of it.
Yeah, God, Bunnahabhain is one of those distilleries that, like, if I had access to the bottles that um, folks in the UK do, it would be on, man. It would be on.
I don't have any Moine bottles. Can you believe that? No Moine bottles at all. I mean,
I have one. Yeah, go ahead.
The Krugvona is peated, and the Kalbanach is peated, the Choichek's peated, but the Moyne is actually peated, and I don't have any Moyne bottles. It's really sad. Go ahead.
So, speaking of Liaka, man, he sent me a Moyne of like, I think it's just the bourbon. I didn't love it, but I do have a Moyne of the red wine Bordeaux.
Ooh, I bet that's good, man.
Dude, I just wish I could get my hands on more wine casks Bunnahabhains. I have a 20 cl bottle of the Manzanilla, which is a 10-year-old from the like hand filled from the distillery little bottle. It's like a small. It's like it was like $55, but I had to get it. It's so good. I just wish I could get more. I mean, we could get more Bunnahabhains here because there's so much good stuff that we just don't get access to.
Lost Cause has a good point. One of the more underrated distilleries, in my opinion, is Edgedour, which also does the Balakin line, which peated.
God, yeah.
Do you like that stuff? Have you had it?
I've had the Edgedour 10.
Did you like that one?
It was good. I wouldn't say I loved it, but
Right.
I had the opportunity. So as I mentioned a little earlier, I'm part of this whiskey club called the Philadelphia Whiskey Society. And so we do a bunch of tasting. We had a BYOB tasting. This is before COVID. And the guy who runs it, Alex Chang, he's just whiskey savant. He got his hands on it's like 15 or 14-year-old Edgedour single cask sherry. It was like cask strength, and I didn't buy a bottle because I'm an idiot. And it was so good. Yeah, I missed the boat on that one. I still kick myself about it.
I bet you're like
that's a distillery, but that's another distillery where like here in the U.S. Telex, you can't find anything interesting from them other than their 10 and then the other one, like you said, like there's that one other release that they do, and that's about all you can get.
That one I talked about, that crazy. What is it? I wish I knew the name. It wasn't the one that ran the. It wasn't the Indian one. It was a different one in DC. I'm trying to remember where it was. This guy had a Balakin Oloroso, that blue tin I showed before, and I just ran across it by accident, and it was the only Edgedour that I had outside of the the typical tin and the Caledonia. I think they have a name for.
Yeah, the Caledonia. That's the other one you can get pretty easily. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's the other one that I've had before, and this one was a little different. It was an Oloroso sherry heavied one, and 48%. I want to say. But Balakin is like their heavily peated line, and it's really good. So if you ever have a chance to see the Balakin, which is the Edgedour peated stuff, definitely take a gamble on it. I haven't seen anything bad by them, but just yet.
Yeah, I got to keep my eyes open for that. I mean, that's just one of those that, again, it's I'm not sure if even Lost Cause mentioned this. Yeah, like it's one of those distilleries that just, again, man, in the States, that one, Deanston, Bunnahabhain, like outside of their core range, you just really can't get your hands on any of their like interesting specialty releases. Whereas like Lafroig, it's like you can get your hands on any Lafroig here,
Yeah.
Other than the travel retail excuses or whatever. But yeah.
Tripper was saying that he gave the Aaron a 3.5 out of 4, which is really top notch for NAS. It's fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Bottle. The only drink is its travel retail. I guess he meant that the only bad thing that it's travel retail, but he can buy it online. And yeah, I would definitely recommend that's a good pickup if you could find it. The Aaron for a red wine cask. I would, if him and I both like it, I think you would probably dig it a lot.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it, man. Like I said, I like the wine cask. The red wine matured Kilchoman was, like I said, it was good. I think I gave it 3 out of 5. Like it wasn't. I think the price didn't quite match because it was only like a 5-year-old. It doesn't quite do it for me. It was honestly a whiskey that it was almost like I waited to review it for quite some time because I don't like to just, unless I'm doing an uncorking review where it's just like raw and cut, I'm just going to open it and see what happens like I did for this new Ardbeg Wee BC. Most of the time I try to take time with it and then I'll kind of like, once I land on where I feel like it is, I'll do one. But The thing about that is I just went back and forth so much. Sometimes I would pour it and I was like, wow, this is really full flavored and awesome. Other times I'd pour it and like, why is this so thin? And like, it was such a weird whiskey.
For you, thinking about it, because he was talking about the Choychek Ada, which is the new version of the Choychek. For you, since you're a big Ugadal fan, I would probably go for the Bunnahabhain Choychek Aha first before you do the Erina Grain, because I know, like the Loch Gorm, you're more of a fan of that sherry peat distillers Lagavulin combination kind of guy, which is I know what you mean there. So I would probably shoot for the Bunnahabhain Choychek first. Before, but still maybe trying the Erina Glena.
That's good to know.
The Struiadere, the other one he's talking about, the Struiadere is that entry level pre-12 version. It's okay. It's not. I mean, for the price, it's good. It's just not. It's definitely not going to blow your mind because it's like a 8-year-old, Bunnahabhain basic. You get a little hazelnuts, you get a little, 12 notes to it, but it's not as good as the 12. And if you're going to spend, $40, $50 on a whiskey, why not save $10 and go for the 12? You know what I mean?
You, my friend, are hitting the point, and that is, my review is going to post Friday on my channel, but that's one of the points I make about the Wee Beastie. It's like, yeah, this is nice and all, but why would I, for $8 more, I could just get the Ardbeg 10. I'm going to save you a sample of this for sure, of course. But,
well, I appreciate it. You don't have to, because I am planning on getting my own bottle, but
okay. I'll definitely I figured you'd get your own bottle. There's no way that there can be a new Ardbeg that you're not going to get your hands on. I know how you feel.
Yeah, it's like I don't even have all of them out here, and I have the whole desk covered with them. It's how sad that is. I've got to get in the closet that I dig out and put out here somehow, but I just can't. I don't have the space.
Ardbeg is one of those distilleries, though, that's like kind of controversial. Like, they're definitely a little over the top and gimmicky. They're a little bit overpriced, but at the same time, they're just so damn good.
Which one?
Ardbeg. They're just so damn good.
That's the thing. It's like, the thing that I think Ardbeg hopefully will change. Don't quote me on this because I'm not an insider by any means. But since we have seen Highland Park, we have seen other distilleries like Lagavulin get on the age statement bandwagon. I'm hoping that Ardbeg takes note and thinks, okay, well, we can still do our yearly Fischl releases, kind of like a Carriages thing, but maybe we should put like an age statement on it to give it kind of a relevance of at least being a 12. But
look at that, dude.
There's the first one. There's the first one right there. Hopefully they'll get in line and do the same thing. But
I got to give them props for that. They like, much like they could have easily just made this an NAS. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're like, clearly this Wee Beastie is designed to be like, it's like the Magnus Highland Park to the Highland Park 12. This is to the Ardbeg 10 what the Magnus is to the Highland Park 12. It's like a release that is sub $50, and yet, unlike Lafroig, which we talked about earlier, which does the Select, which is of course 40% chill filtered, full of color. This 47%, and they put the age statement on it. They put the 5 on it. Like, they had the guts to put the 5 on it. I appreciate that. I give them style points on that. They could have just made it an NAS, called it the Wee Beastie, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of, I think Richie Z was just talking about the Deanston 10PX, and yes, he wants to buy another bottle and really good stuff. The only where was that post? I just saw it a second ago. Something about the Deanston PX10. And just to tell you, I've been lucky enough to have the 10PX, and it's really good. That's my favorite. And I actually had it compared to a 20-year-old Oloroso Deanston. And I technically preferred the 10. I don't know if it's because I like PX Sherry versus Oloroso more, or if it was the ABV was better on the 10 versus the 20, or what the nuances were exactly. But the 20 wasn't bad. I'm not knocking it, but it's kind of like a 4.25 whiskey versus a 4 whiskey. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
the 10PX is nothing to sneeze at if you get a chance to find it.
The 10PX is one that I've not got to try. So I've the 20 Oloroso, I've heard good things. But the 20 Oloroso have PX in it as well, or is it just straight Oloroso?
It's straight Oloroso. It's definitely more of a drier, savory whiskey. The 10PX is like a bam, pow, sweet peat in your face kind of,
Like the Lafroig PX.
Yeah, it was kind of more like that, and it's definitely on the sweeter end. So if you're not a big sweet tooth like I have, then you might not like it as much. But if you do have that PX, thing going on, then I would definitely jump for it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've not seen that one, to be honest with you. Again, like Deanston is one of those distilleries that I just don't see a lot of Deanston. I know I've noticed some folks in the chat, they say they see Deanston some places. Other folks, I mean, they never see it anywhere. I know they have an 18-year-old bourbon cask too, which I've never got to try because, again, like I just never see it.
If you ever get back down to Petite, man, you should check it out. They have a boatload of Deanston there. I'm telling you.
Have you done the Deanston 18?
I have. That's the one I bought was the Deanston 18 bourbon. It's hold on one second. Sorry about that. It's unchill filtered. It's straight up good greatness. Right. It's a bourbon. It's a straight up bourbon cask, and no complaints. Drank extremely well. I still think the 10PX is as good as this. I mean, even though this is 8 years older, it might not be as complex or be as interesting. But if you're looking for a good tasting whiskey, either one would do justice, I think. But this is comparable.
The one Deanston that I have my eye on is that 20 Oloroso, which I'll probably buy. But what I haven't had is, I haven't had the 18. I've seen it online, but I never see it in shops.
Jason Coates likes the 12 actually more than anything. Surprisingly, I'm surprised he'd say that.
Yeah. So I think Jason, we were talking about that a little earlier on my happy hour stream before the show tonight. I think that was Ralphie's Whiskey of the Year last year, which of course wow. I like to at least try the stuff he recommends because I really like his channel. And he had the Deanston 12 as his Whiskey of the Year, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
I think somebody affirmed that. So it makes me definitely want to try it.
Here, you don't see a 12-year. It might be an older, maybe it was one of the first like Deanstons that kind of got out there. The ones you see around here mostly are the 10PX, the 20 Oloroso, the 18 bourbon, maybe a couple
other. What's the 20 Oloroso go for by you, price-wise?
Ooh, give me 1 second.
And while we talk about that, I'm going to pour a nightcap dram of this Wee Beastie again. So talk a little bit about this one too.
Sounds good to me. Let me pull up. I just every month I ask Tom from Petite Cellars to send me a list of his scotches, and thankfully he's gracious enough, since I do a lot of business with those guys, will send me kind of a list. So the cool thing is I always have an inventory count of what they have there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like well, if I'm going to spend that much money at a place, I better get like at least like a little bit of a perk out of it, right? Let's see. Deanston, here we go. Okay, so the 12-year there is $55. I've got to pick that up.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Yeah.
The Deanston 12 is $55. The Deanston 14 is $120. I'm not sure if the 14 is a special cask. It probably is for that price, I'm guessing. The 18 is $150, which is it's a good price for an 18-year whiskey. The 20, their 20 is $165 for the 20.
That's a good price.
The Virgin Oak, which is like their entry core, is only $37. So there you go. So you can get like, you know,
Dude, $165 for 165 for that 20-year-old. That's a good price.
so
I've seen that upwards of $250.
if you can make your way down to Maryland, man, let me know and we'll meet up and have a little fun at the
We
PT
should do that. One of these days, we should just, you know, I mean, we're so damn close. One of these days, we should set up. I mean, probably while this COVID stuff's going on, right? We should drive down. We could do the live stream tasting straight from your place, man. That would be fun.
That'd be cool, yeah. Yeah, it's not too far, hopefully, for you.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it's a 3-hour drive from here to DC. So you're out in.
I'll do even better for you.
Arundel?
I'll meet you halfway. If you pick a place between here, we could go an hour and a half, meet up somewhere. We both got phones. We both could probably figure out a way to do a little live on
Yeah, we just got to figure out how to get home.
Never mind. You bought a good point. You're more than welcome to come down here, man. I've got a guest room.
Yeah. We'll figure it out, man. That'd be a lot of fun. I think, you know, as long as you don't, you know, I don't got COVID, you don't got COVID, might as well figure it out one of these nights. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I've got a guest.
That's not too bad of a drive for me.
Yeah, I've got.
While I'm down there, I have to hit up a crab shack.
Oh yeah, there's
Those
a lot
Maryland
of
blue crabs, man. Oh yeah, I when I lived in DC, man, I used to drive out to the Bay all the time to hit up the crab shacks because, man, that's a special. Those Maryland blue crabs are a thing of beauty.
And there's only like 1 block away from here. There's a Joe's Crab like shack. Seriously, I know what you mean.
Yeah, man, stuff is so good. I miss that. That's one of the few things I miss from living in DC is the proximity to Maryland blue crab.
I can imagine. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to probably have to head on here in a little bit just because I have to do it tomorrow and all that mess. But I really, really, really appreciate you hanging out and talking about all this stuff that we go through.
Yeah, man, for sure. And, you know, it's always a good time. I mean, this is what we've been doing this for a little over a month now. We'll keep the Tuesday live shows going. And so it'll be a lot of fun to keep chatting with everybody. And if you haven't, you know, feel free to subscribe to Telex's channel, hit my channel up if you're interested. I don't know what you have coming up next for reviews. On Friday, my uncorking review of the new Ardbeg Wee Bistio post. So if you're into that, check out my channel. And Telex has always got reviews coming out every week, so do sub to him as well. And until next week, my friend.
I appreciate it, and start to think on whether you'd rather do a Highland Park or maybe a Mortlock next week, if you don't mind. I'll try to see if I can find something else in the meantime, but is any one of those fancy maybe for next week?
Yeah, let's chat about it. I think I could do Highland Park. I could also do Mortlock. So we can we'll keep the conversation going. And cheers to everybody out there. Stay safe. You know, keep you and your family out of trouble with all this craziness going on. And I'll catch you next week on the happy hour, and catch you next week here on the Telex and Malt Show.
Yeah, it's the launch of thanks so much, Stephen, Connor, Richie Z, Trooper, Andrew, the whole dram, the whole lot, Jason.
Yeah, Juan, cheers.
They're all very, very appreciated to hang out with us, and I love chatting with you guys when I get a chance. And stop by next Tuesday, 8. What time do you get started with your happy hour? 8:30.
Yeah, my happy hour starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we all head over to you a little bit after 9. So we'll keep it going.
All right, man. Well, take care, Eric. I'll call you Eric for now at the end.
You too, Jason.
Yeah, thanks a lot. There's so many Jasons in whiskey. That's why I'm like, I'll just call me Telex.
All right, buddy. Be good, man. Stay well. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, man.
Cilantro.
Cilantro.